Hey guys and gals, it's Logan Freeman, and this is the LiveFree Investors Podcast, where I interview investors and business owners who share investment advice so you too can live free. Today I'm talking to my man Daray. Daray, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yes, sir. I am a real estate entrepreneur, Logan, and I really appreciate you having me on the show. I help first-time investors. I help early on investors, newbie investors, really get the ball rolling, start to build their portfolio, create a consistent stream of income, and absolutely quit their W-2 9-to-5 job. So that is what I do in a nutshell. I have a few other businesses that I run as well, but that is the crux of it.
That is awesome. Clear, concise, and compelling. So I work with a lot of first timers as well. I'm curious, man. So what do you think the number one roadblock is that people have from taking the leap and getting started? And then we'll dive into how you help folks kind of get over that hump. But what is that biggest challenge?
I think it's clarity,
Yeah.
Logan. Yeah, I think it's clarity. I think that many of us have heard over the years that 90% of millionaires have built their wealth through real estate. Many
Yep.
of us have heard to buy income generating assets. Many of us have read the popular Rich Dad Poor Dad book, but many of us are not investors. Many of us are not location independent entrepreneurs. Many of us have not built businesses that support our lifestyles
Yep.
or our families, right? So where's the disconnect? And I don't think that the disconnect is not having the information, right? I mean, we have it, we see it, it's visible. You and I, we're on these podcasts and we're trying to, get things like this out here. But I think it's just really clarity. A lot of people come out of the gate or don't really come out of the gate because they don't understand where to start.
Yep.
So you think about the average strategy that's out there. You get all these ads. I'm sure you get them to where you can fix and flip, you can wholesale, you can become a syndicator, you can passively invest, you can invest in land. Why don't you buy notes? Hey, why don't you own or finance, right? I mean, bottom line is all these vehicles, they make money. All these strategies, they make money, right? Some a little bit more than others, some in certain markets as opposed to others, but you'll find a millionaire pursuing every single one of these strategies.
Yeah.
So I want to, when it comes to clarity, I like to take the onus off of the strategy first and foremost. You want to get into real estate, cool. You want to build generational wealth, cool. But let's take the onus off of the strategy that you're looking for. Let's put the onus on you and figure out, how to reverse engineer the whole thing. So we'll start with what you want out of life. We'll start with when you want that buy.
Yeah.
Right. And then we'll start to look at a vehicle that possibly gets you there in that allotted time and with the resources that you have. Right. So again, it's just going internal instead of external, trying to find answers. And that's where I think a lot of people are messing up when they're first getting started.
A confused mind never makes a decision, right? And clarity, I love that answer, because when you're uncertain about anything in life, you're not going to move. And if you do move, it's because fight or flight, right? And I hate decisions being made based off of that response, fight or flight. The biggest challenges I've ever created for myself were making decisions without being intentional about what I was trying to accomplish. So clarity, so important. I've been hot on this idea and model of ikigai for quite some time, right? It's this intersection. It's a Venn diagram of what you can get paid for, what the world needs, what your greatest strength is, and what your passion is. And in the middle of that is this kind of like this sweet spot, right? And so I love how you take a consultative approach when you're talking with somebody. Say, and can you define onus for us, Daray, please?
Taking onus in your actions.
Yes. Can you define that word? How do you spell? I'm always a learner. I have a word of the day come to my email, but I have not had anybody use that. So break that down for us before I go.
I just think it's a synonym for that word I would say is responsibility.
Okay. All right, cool. So you take responsibility, right? And put the responsibility on yourself. Go introspective so you can get some perspective. And so many times people are trying to look at what they should do by what other folks are doing. And that's not necessarily the right path, because that person might have been doing it for 20 years. They have a different skill set. You don't know. They might have a trust fund funding all of their stuff, and they might actually not be having any success. They might just be just taking money from one account and buying something in another, you know? So be careful about comparing yourself to somebody. Go introspective and really start there to get that clarity, man. That's fantastic. That's going to kind of roll into our second question. I'm not going to let you use, or actually my fourth question. I'm not going to let you use that answer for my fourth question, but it would have been a perfect one. So I'm going to pull out as much as I can from you today. But before we do that, what's the best thing about being an investor and a business owner?
Man, I love this question because you know, it's one that really hits home for me. I think that for a lot of us, our initial goal is money oriented.
Sure.
And for good reason, right?
Yeah.
We're discontent. We absolutely hate, you know, where we are, or we know there's a better way, or we want more freedom, whatever it is. But for me, the absolute number one motivator to become an entrepreneur, to become a business owner, has been lifestyle design.
Yes. Love it.
And as a child growing up, I remember before the age of 2, I had been to 3 continents. I had lived on 3 continents. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. Yeah, I was born in Boston. Within 6 weeks, my mom was a single mother raising me. She was struggling as an immigrant here in America to really find her balancing. So she sent me to live with her parents back home in Nigeria. In turn, sent me to live with her sister in London in the UK, and brought me back around the age of 4. Even from there, like, she was a struggling entrepreneur, and then she became a struggling, moderate, budding entrepreneur, and then she became a super successful entrepreneur, and then she went right back to struggling. The entrepreneur roller coaster. So every single year I was going to a different school. I started out in private school my first year, then I went to a public school, and then I would transfer. So again, I'm consistently in new environments every single year of my life. So I'm great at making friends,
sure,
but long-term, long-lasting relationships hasn't always been my best too. But I bring all that to say that when I got to corporate America, and I think we're skipping a whole bunch. She may go back and ask me later, but when I got to corporate America, I started working for a Big 4 accounting firm, and the minute I got there, I realized that all of my freedom was taken away. So I look at the year before I went into corporate, and when these firms that make you offers, they ask you what you want your starting date to be, and they presume that it's going to be in the next 3 to 6 months. Well, I said in the next year and a half.
Yeah.
And like, what do you mean? And like, what do you mean? Like, we can't hold your spot that long and whatever.
Right.
I was like, I need a year to travel. Like, I'm a free spirit. I'm a bird. I like to explore. I like to be in different countries. I like to go on sabbaticals. Like, that's just who I am. I need a year to travel. And luckily, they granted that for me. But as soon as I got there, as soon as I got back and I got into the system, I realized how restricted I was. I realized that I had, get this, Logan, I had 18 days of vacation in a 365-day year. I said, oh, this is just not the life path for me. I realized that very quickly. So answering your question, for me, it's always been about the freedom and lifestyle.
Absolutely. I love that answer. Thank you for the background. That was fantastic. And, you know, it's interesting about the vacation piece because, my wife is always like, well, when do you want to go, do this? And when do you want to go do that? I'm like, let's go to Hawaii for a month, like, what are we waiting on? And it's a little harder with 2 kids now. And,
oh yeah.
But the same thing is like having the ability just to do that is incredible. And it's funny. I think I probably told you this on your show. The day I was fired was the most freeing day that I have ever felt in my life. I felt like I had control and I could make, my new destiny come true and at least be the owner of my schedule, which was so, so important. So thank you for sharing that, man. Okay.
Awesome.
There's a lot of things going on this year, right? We were talking offline about this, how it's just been an interesting year, one way or the other. It's been very interesting. And so keeping up to date on current trends and opportunities can be a challenge, especially when you're trying to break through the noise and really get to what is really, important. So tell me your thoughts on how you've overcome that and how you stay up to date on a regular basis.
Oh man, that's a can right there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, staying up to date is pretty easy because of social media, and I don't know if that's the best form of staying up to date. But I read a book once, I believe it was in the 4 Hour Work Week, where the author of the book described keeping up with the news as something that you could do once a year, once every few years, and you wouldn't really miss out on a whole lot.
Wow. I haven't even thought about that.
And I mean, you know as well as I do, and most of the people out there, is that these headlines and what the news portrays is clickbait, right? It's to get more clicks, more views, more revenue, and oftentimes it taints our judgment of perspective, right? Like you see nothing but bad in the news because that's what gets clicks. You don't see all the good in the world. I want to talk to COVID because I think that my heart goes out to everybody who's been affected by COVID 100%. It's been absolutely insane just to see like the death rate and things that are, people that are getting sick, and it's just been mind blowing. But at the same time, and we can even have a money conversation too about this, because this is something I've been really playing with lately. But at the same time, this moment in time, 2020, has been a gift.
Yeah.
On so many levels. Like COVID, in some instances, and this is how I'm choosing to look. And again, it's my viewpoint, right? And I know a lot of people can have a different viewpoint. In some instances, it's brought in so much more opportunity than I could ever imagine. Coming from a health perspective, I'm geared towards the type of person who's more OCD than the average individual. And the fact that everybody now has to be more health conscious, oh my goodness, absolutely, it makes me so happy.
Sure.
It makes me so happy.
I agree.
Like the extreme measures we're taking to look after each other is absolutely amazing. Let's talk about business. The opportunity in the online space has been absolutely mind-blowing. Like, again, there's been a lot of bad, but what are you choosing to focus on? There's a life coach by the name of Brooke Castillo. I don't know if you know her. She was on a podcast recently, and she was talking about the life coaching business. And any business, really, put your business, my business, in the same eye. And because of how we view our business, those are the results that our business are going to produce.
Yeah.
So Brooke has this mindset where she's just like, man, the life coaching business is on fire right now. During COVID, during the pandemic. Whereas some of her friends are like, it's COVID, it's a pandemic, I'm losing all my clients. What the heck is going on? Her mindset is the life coaching business is on fire. Who's right? And before I get into who's right, let's talk about the stock market. Yeah. You can have two different people look at the same exact thing in the stock market. Two different people look at we're in the biggest crisis that we've been in a long time. And Logan, you can look at the stock market and be like, man, like this is absolutely insane. This is bad. Like, I've lost 50 to 70% on the value of all my stocks. I'm pulling out. This is terrible. Everything's like, everything's like, I just got to get out of everything. This is absolutely insane. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to support myself. I don't know. Like, there's just so many worries that a lot of people have, and you see it in real life.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then I can look at those same exact stocks, Logan, those same exact stocks. And I could be like, wow, what an incredible bargain. What an incredible deal. What an incredible opportunity.
Absolutely.
We're living in the same world, but it's all about our perspective.
It is. Yeah.
I hope that analogy really hits home for a lot of us, because again, during these times, it's about how we're looking at things.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious, because you probably talk with I agree with you. You probably talk with a lot of folks. And I'm the guy over here emailing my financial planner right now saying, hey, grab another 100 shares of Apple. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
There you go.
airlines, do you think people will be flying in 5 years? You think it's going to be worth more than it is now? Yeah, that's an opportunity, right? Same things. But like, I'm curious. So with all that being said, we're both optimistic people and, make good decisions, or at least seem to make good decisions on a regular basis. If somebody was struggling and they are struggling to just feel like they're surviving right now, what is some advice that you can help them to kind of get past that? Because I have kind of a mantra that I try to help folks understand what their biggest roadblock is, neutralize that, and then they can go do more. But, it's hard for people to see past that one big roadblock right in their face. But if maybe somebody lost their job, maybe if somebody is down and out and they are negative right now, how have you pulled some of your clients up, man, during this period of time and help them get that perspective? Because I think you and I work on a daily basis to have that perspective. But I'm curious, maybe somebody who doesn't, I'm just thinking about some of my close, people in my life that I would love to kind of send this episode to afterwards and share some advice maybe that you've found to be helpful with some of your clients that maybe they're down and out and they can't get out of that rut, or they can't see past it, man. How do you help somebody get past that?
Great question. Another great question, Logan. So,
well, I don't know if I told you, I'm trying to get a free coaching session here, man. You asked me what my podcast
I love it.
I'm just going to use it to get some of my man Daray's time, man, trying to download that knowledge.
Look, I do the same thing. And if the listeners of this show know how much value you dropped on my podcast, oh my goodness, OMG. But to answer your question, it's interesting because last Tuesday, I wrapped up a challenge that I created for myself called a Think and Grow Rich Challenge. This challenge was inspired by two people. One, Brooke Castillo, that life coach I mentioned, and two,
write her name down right now, by the way.
And two, we talked about him on my podcast, Tim Bratz.
Started following him afterwards.
So I thought to myself, how could I, one, expand my mind to do more, to be more, to have more, to believe more, and inspire others to do the same thing?
Yep.
So in one of my, going back to my clients, in one of my client groups, I did this challenge and I kind of documented the whole process.
Yep.
And I brought them back to this one story that happened last summer. And it was one of my older clients. She had started with me, I think last June, and last August, we got on a call and she was just like, Daray, I've done everything you told me to do. I built out my real estate system, and I made maybe like 10 or 15 calls this month. And, things haven't worked out yet, but I know they will. I'm going to keep the faith. It's just really hard. I got a lot of stuff going on. Don't have a whole lot of time to do much more, but just know that I'm on it. And I asked her, I was like, well, how much are you trying to make in your real estate business? And she was like, I'm trying to make $10,000 a month. I was like, okay, cool. And I was just like, well, what you've done so far is you made 15 calls this month. And why haven't you been able to make more? And she was like, well, I think she told me she had, not daycare. She had a babysitting. So she has work. She has babysitting after work. She has a second job as well. She looks after her mom. She does a ton of different things that if she only had more money, she wouldn't have to do. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind. She's doing a ton of different things that if she only had more money, she wouldn't have to do those things anymore. So what's preventing her from making more money is actually doing those things.
Sure.
Because again, she's only making 15 calls. So I said, all right, so the 6-figure entrepreneur, because $10,000 a month times 12 months is $120,000. The 6-figure entrepreneur who makes $10,000 a month, that version of you, do you think that version of you is making 15 calls?
That's a good question.
And she was like, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so what are you going to do? Are you going to make more calls? She's like, I wish I could, but I can't. I just told you. Oh, and here's one of the biggest ones. She was like, oh, and I need 8 hours worth of sleep, Daray. I'm one of those people who, like, if I get 7 hours, 6 hours, I'm going to be super cranky. Like, it has to be at least 8 hours, like no ifs, ands, or buts. So all these things are piling up as to why she cannot achieve financial freedom, why she cannot go after her dreams. So then I tell her this, I was like, all right, let's do this. And you asked me again, what are some of the things that we've done? I have a second thing that I think will really help as well. But this exercise, I said, all right, I'm going to write you a $10,000 check. So 10000. All right, $10,000. Put your name on it, and I'm going to hand it to you. Here's the thing, though. You can cash this check at the end of the month under one condition. Instead of making 15 calls this month, you make 500 calls. Or you make 750 calls or 1,000 calls.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I'm requiring you. For you to cash a $10,000 check, that's all you have to do. Logan, the next 30 days, her mindset went from, I need 8 hours worth of sleep to, you know what? I can make this short-term sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
She started getting innovative around how she's going to start babysitting, around her hours for her second job.
Yep.
And what she's doing in between time. For the very short term, she found out really quickly how to become resourceful. Why, Logan? Why? There's only one reason. If you guys haven't picked up on the reason yet, I'm going to tell you that reason. There's only one reason why. She believed.
Yep. There it is.
She believed. So again, I did this Think and Grow Rich challenge for the same thing. I'm just like, man, like this guy, Tim, he did this, I'm going to earn $1 million in new revenue in 30 days. So none of our reoccurring, again, I did the same challenge, not $1 million, by the way. But I did the same exact challenge. It's like no reoccurring revenue, no past income, nothing that I've already worked on in the past, like just straight new revenue. I was just like, man, like that's absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
How can I expand my mindset to do that?
That's right. Oh.
So now I'm in the process of making this a continuous thing, like having people join me in the process. Like let's have these financial goals, just these outlandish financial goals, and figure out how to get there. When I tell you, Logan, that I've done things in the past 30 days I've never thought to do in my business, just because I've decided that it's a must to get to this goal. I'm just like, where has this been all this time? So I call it the Think and Grow Rich Challenge, because through the entire challenge, I'm pulling out principles from the book Think and Grow Rich. The first time I read Think and Grow Rich, I absolutely hated it. That was one of the worst books ever written. Absolutely hated it. It wasn't until the second time I read it, after I had become a little bit more of a knowledgeable reader and really took in the principles, where I was like, wow.
Yep.
Like, no, seriously, this book is a gem.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been sleeping on this book all these years.
I know.
And
if you try to listen to it, you're gonna fall asleep while you try to listen to it, because the reader who reads it on Audible is, unless they've changed it, but it is old reading too. So definitely pick up the actual book, in my opinion.
Yeah, most definitely. So I mean, that book, again, it just highlights the principle of going back to how to solve this problem for my clients, for your clients, for anybody out there that's listening. You have to put yourself in a space after already achieving your goal.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find a way not only to put yourself in a space after already achieving your goal, you have to attach emotion to that space.
Yep. Physical
and visceral emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, Daray, how do I do that? If you sit down in your chair right now and you just imagine that you're on a roller coaster, like you viscerally imagine being on a roller coaster, the ups and downs, your heart rate will start rising a little bit. It will.
Yeah.
So when you take thought and you add emotion to that, and you meditate on that for not minutes, 5 minutes out of your day, and then the other 23 hours and 55 minutes, you're in a constant worry state. Mm-hmm. You're in a constant woe is me. You're in a constant these things are not working. But when you meditate on that throughout the day, however that looks for you, and I can even break that down, but however that looks for you, when you meditate on that throughout the day, and you trust and see yourself in 30 days having achieved that $1 million goal, or in 1 year having, 100 units or in 2 years having financial freedom, and you visually take yourself there every single day as if you already live there, you'll start seeing opportunity that you never saw before. Because you know that, hey, like if I'm supposed to make $1 million by the end of the month, like my antler ears are literally every single conversation. Where's my money? You got my money? You got my money? You got my money? Where, like, there's my money somewhere because I know I'm supposed to get it, but where is it? Like, so you're constantly looking for it because you put yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does, man. I'm loving this. If you just did not listen to that and did not hear that, rewind, and go through that exercise, man. That was incredible. I gotta tell you, man. I know you got the actual book. I love the book so much. I went and picked up the old purple workbook. So it's so fun to go back and look at myself, back when I was doing this right here. I can see where I was at this point in time. But that book is right next to Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People and Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. Those 3 books, if you read nothing else in your life, read those 3 books and you'll be okay. Now, I love it. You remind me of that song. Baby, I got your money, don't you worry. Hey. Yeah. See, we jamming, man. I love it. That's the law of attraction actually in action, right? Yeah. There's that movie called The Secret, and you can't think things into, fruition. You have to act. But what happens is your beliefs lead to your emotions, which lead to your actions, which lead to your results. So it's the law of attraction in action, man. I love that, brother. That was awesome. Now you got me thinking, man, I need to get myself on a challenge this next 30 days.
There you go, man.
I was going to join up. I was going to join up with a couple guys who were doing a sprint challenge, and then I went and almost broke my ankle, and so I wasn't able to run. But I'm really excited about getting back to be able to. I didn't let it hold me down. I got my steps, in the last couple of weeks. So I've been moving. I've been limping around. But man, that was just a knowledge bomb from your brain plane, man. I appreciate that. And if you need to go back and listen to that again, I will be doing the same thing, thinking about how I can apply that, because it's complete at the theoretical level, and it's effective at the applied level. I wonder what areas of my life I can put that same thought process around, and that's a fantastic exercise because it helps crush those limiting beliefs. All right, man. Well, we got about 10 minutes left. I've got a couple questions I want to ask you, and I got 2 left. So the first one is, and this is just so broad, you can take it wherever you want, but what is the best advice that you've ever received as an investor and a business owner?
Wow. These questions are loaded, Logan. Oh my goodness.
Totally.
Can you ask me that again so I have more time to think?
Yes, I can repeat it for you. Daray, what is the best advice that you've received as an investor and a business owner?
Oh my goodness. Oh, this has to be the first time I don't know.
Well, you've already dropped a couple of really great ones on us.
Oh, can I mention there was a second exercise that I wanted individuals to do.
Absolutely. Let's do that.
Yeah. So this is quick and short because I still am trying to digest the teachings in this book, but there's a book, and don't laugh at the name because it's absolutely mind-blowing, but there's a book called Super Coach. Okay? It's called Super Coach. And this book has nothing to do with, I know I mentioned Brooke Castillo and life coaching. It has nothing to do with life coaching or anything like that, but it's really about how to train the thoughts in your mind. And why this is important is because everything starts with our thoughts. That was what Napoleon Hill, again, doing these challenges. And when you start your challenge, your multiple challenges, Logan, you're going to fail at hopefully all of them. And that's okay. And you'll get back on the horse and you'll do it again. But the whole point, and Napoleon Hill studied this, guys, think about this. Napoleon Hill studied how to be successful for 22 years before he wrote Think and Grow Rich.
22.
For 22 years. He studied the world's richest, most successful individuals, human beings in the world, and he deduced that there's one thing that they do better than everybody else, and it's how they think. Well, who I know you probably know this quote. Who said this quote? But there's a quote that goes, "Thinking is one of the greatest things that we can do, but so few people do it because I don't know the quote, but I know you probably heard the quote, but thinking, it may have been George Washington. It's a quote about thinking, and thinking is one of the greatest things we can do, but it's so hard, and that's why so many of us do. I mean, that's why so little of us do it. And Napoleon Hill figured out a long time ago that the primary principle in success is thinking and growing rich. And so this book called Super Coach is a book that is going to help you understand and more so manipulate your thoughts. And going back to the rut that many people may find themselves in, you lost your job, and everything changed. That happened for me twice.
Yeah.
That happened for me twice. The first time I was so unprepared. I was so shell-shocked. I was just like, what in the world is this similar to you? But the second time, I knew better. I had built up my portfolio. I was ready for it. It was a very different experience.
Almost welcoming.
Right? Yeah, no, it was welcoming. It was. If we have another podcast, I'll tell you that story. But it's the thoughts that we carry, man. And if I were to recommend any book for people who are really just struggling from a mindset perspective, it's Super Coach.
Super Coach. Okay. I wonder if that's on Audible, man. I'd like to get in.
It is.
Okay.
It is. Yeah.
I got so many books I got to read. I got so many deals I got to get done by October. And then I'm hoping to take November and December, dissect the year, do a bunch of marketing, and read at least 6 books. So I'm really hoping to be able to do that. And I would love to do it in Hawaii if my wife would allow me to.
There we go. So, there we go.
Yeah.
What do we have to do to convince her?
I don't know. I think that I just need to probably say, hey, we're doing this, and we're going to do Thanksgiving in Hawaii. We're going to stay there for a month, and we're going to invite Daray so he can come over, and we can all mastermind together. How about
there we go. Let's do it.
You got to stay for 14 days, though, because I think you have to – right now you have to quarantine for 14 days after that. So it's a little bit of a commitment. But, man.
That's true.
Real to go right now. So, man, you've dropped so much knowledge for us today. I'm curious, man. So I love to have folks on like yourself. So this is your opportunity to promote somebody that, maybe I haven't had on the show that you think would be a great guest to share some wisdom, thoughts, and advice to our viewers. So if you had to promote one person for me to call out to be on the show, who do you think that would be?
Logan, do I get these questions ahead of time?
Yes.
Man, I wish I would have saw that. Okay, so when it comes to an individual that I would want to recommend for your audience, just based on what I know about you and the level of expertise and where you want to take your individuals, I want to recommend. Actually, I've never recommended this person for anybody, and I recommended quite a few people for you. But I would recommend one of my mentors.
Okay.
And his name is Trevor McGregor.
Oh yeah.
You know Trevor?
I do know Trevor. Yep.
Okay, I want to recommend Trevor, and if you guys already know each other, it's fine. But if not, I can connect you guys, and he'd be an awesome guest for your show.
Awesome. I will have Trevor on. I'd love an email intro because I know how busy that guy is. So to pop up to the top of his inbox would be great. I need to reconnect with Trevor. Last time I talked with him, he had something big coming for, I feel like, the children, and something he was doing with that. So I need to reconnect to see if that dream has come to fruition. Last question of the podcast, and I don't prep people for this one, but it's the most important prep question because, like you mentioned, lifestyle design is so important. Money is great, and if money is your number one roadblock that you need to get past, you need to solve for that. You need to get rid of your debt so you can feel worthy enough to go do what you want to do. It's introspective though, but lifestyle design for me and for you is super important, but you can't use that answer here because we've already mentioned it. But what is your best way on a daily basis, man? It could be a routine. It could be, an affirmation. It could be, anything, something that you connect with on a regular basis. But what's the best way that you live free on a regular basis?
Self-education.
I love it.
we had a conversation on my podcast, Logan, and it confirmed that there are others like me. I told you about my daily routine and how I like to go about my business days, and it's so relieving knowing that I have the opportunity and the capacity and the margin to end a business day at 10 a.m.
Yep.
So just as a refresher for those of you guys on this show, I start my days at about 4:45. Today I started at 3:30. Don't ask me. Oops. Today I started at 3:30. Don't ask me why, but I start my days at 4:45. Just so by 5 o'clock, I'm starting my 1 hour routine, my everyday 1 hour routine. My original routine was a variation of things that I learned from The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And later on, I changed that routine to match more of the principles in the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. So you can check out both of those books. So that's the first hour. And then the second hour, I go and work out. So typically by 7:30, 8 o'clock, I've eaten breakfast. I follow a slow carb breakfast by Tim Ferriss in the 4 Hour Body. It's an absolutely amazing diet.
Working.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I love it.
No, it's working for you, not for me. I got to get on the slow carb diet.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I get into that, and then by 8 a.m. I focus on my KPIs, the two things in my business that absolutely, if I knock out these two things, again, Eat That Frog Mentality by Brian Tracy. Absolutely focus on these two things, knock them out, so by 10 a.m. if I have to cancel my entire day, there's I don't have angst. Right? I'm not like, oh, I still got to do this. I still got to do this. I still got to do this. Now, mind you, most days from 10 to sometimes even 10 p.m., I'm on coaching calls, I'm on client calls, I'm on calls with sellers, I'm on all types of calls. But it's totally not necessary because between 8 and 10, I've gotten done the two most important things in my business. So oftentimes, maybe by 5 p.m., just like a normal, work day, I may just go for a walk. I actually go for sometimes 2 walks a day. Yeah. Walks lasting from an hour to 2 hours. This is literally how much margin I have in my days. And I do this because I think it's so much more important to develop myself in order to develop my business than to spend most of my days developing my business, hoping that I find some type of self-gratification in the business that I built.
Love it, man. Spoken like a true investor and business owner. Daray, how can everybody follow you, find you, connect with you, point them in the right direction so they can start listening and downloading this on a regular basis so they can get that same mindset in their inbox or in their mind every single day, man? Where can they find you?
Absolutely, Logan. First and foremost, I want to thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. I had so much fun, and you pulled out some stuff, and I'm just like, wow, like this guy got it. So absolutely, I love it. And if people want to find me, definitely check out beforethemillions.com. That's where I host my podcast. I interview successful millionaires and entrepreneurs from all over the world, including Mr. Logan Freeman of LiveFree Investments himself. And our episode is one of the best. It's called "Are You a Closer? Are you a?" And now I'm stumbling on the verbiage of it. Is it
right.
What's the first two?
It's a closer, a cleaner, and a cooler.
A cooler. Are you a closer? Are you a cooler? Or are you a cleaner? Logan Freeman.
That's a good one.
So you can find me over at beforethemillions.com. If you want to connect with me personally, my platform of choice is Instagram instead of LinkedIn. Okay. I need to get with Logan and figure out this whole LinkedIn thing. But right now, you can find me on Instagram at my first and last name, Daray Olaleye. And I hope to talk to you and answer any questions that you guys have. It's been an absolute pleasure, Logan. I appreciate it.
Man, thank you so much for being on. Guys, you go back, rewind, listen to it again, slow it down. Don't have it on 1.5. Put it on 0.5. Listen to this man. He's got some great knowledge. This is Logan Freeman with the LiveFree Investors Podcast, where investors and business owners share advice so you too can live free. For more insights and ideas on how you can live free, connect with me on LinkedIn today, Daray on Instagram, or go to beforethemillions.com. I got to ask, how much did that URL cost, man?
Oh, guess what? It cost $10.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about. He's a bargain hunter, everybody. Daray, thanks again, man, for being here. I appreciate you.
No problem, my man. Have a good day.